A review of the Histories by Herodotus of Halicarnassus. Here are presented the results of the inquiry carried out by Herodotus of Halicarnassus. The purpose is to prevent the traces of human events from being erased by time, and to preserve the fame of the important and remarkable achievements produced by both Greeks and non-Greeks. Among the matters covered is, in particular, the cause of the hostilities between Greeks and non-Greeks. With this legendary opening, Herodotus, who passed away in 420 BC, begins to narrate the story of the rise of the Persian and Greek empires in the known world. Herodotus uses countless sources along with first-hand investigations into the cultures, peoples, wars, and practices, the histories of the peoples inhabiting the lands around the Greek, Persian, Scythian, Thracian, and Egyptian domains. Part fact, part story, all brilliantly narrated, along with passion and human emotion in this timeless masterpiece by Herodotus. Hi, this is Donald here, and I'm jumping up and down with how much I love this book, and I can't wait to explain why. After reading Edith Hamilton's The Greek Way, along with some other mythology books, I decided to take on one of the big boys of the ancient literature world, the Histories. I bought Oxford World Classics, translation by Robin Waterfield, 2008. So talking about the physical copy of the book is definitely thick to hold in my hands, and at first, I wished I had bought a slightly larger book with nicer paper, but after having read it for hours and hours, I've come to love this copy of the book. It's not the most classy or elegant book, but it is highly readable and meant to be flipped through over and over. I must have flipped through the footnotes and the maps at the back of the book at least 50 times. The more I read the book, the better the book felt to flip through and read, and I didn't see hardly any wear or tear on the spine of the book. Granted, I generally take great care of my books, but overall I think this is a great and expensive copy to get into. The more I use it, the more I came to enjoy it. I would even go so far as, after having read this book for hours and hours, this paperback edition to me was reliable and trusty. I couldn't wait to get back into it and look at the maps in the back and the footnotes. It's easy to flip through as well. I really enjoyed it. Okay, so with Greek writings, translations can make an enormous difference. And classical translations can be elegant, but can also make a difficult subject matter even more challenging to read, especially if you aren't used to reading some of the more ancient books or histories out there. Contemporary translations, while easy to read, personally to me, they also feel like they lack some of the magic and elegance, especially when modern-day vulgarities are used to represent potential Greek vulgarities in the writing. After doing some research, I decided to read this translation by Robin Waterfield and was blown away at the clarity, the flow, and the beauty of the language. There is no hindrance to the writing, and the elegance and the respect for the subject matter is felt. I really strongly felt it. I was intimidated to read this book for many years now, but having picked it up and started to read it, it just flew off the pages. It was a pleasure to read. Getting more into that, in terms of difficulty levels, this book has 590 pages with an additional roughly 200 pages of introductions, footnotes, and maps. This is not a casual fling read. It will take focus, effort, and a patient mind to let Herodotus build up to and tell the story of the Greeks and the Persians. The writing itself I found to be only moderately difficult, especially in terms of vocabulary, sentence structure, and writing style. One major challenge, particularly for those who aren't as familiar with Greek history, or maybe this is your first delving into Greek history, is the enormous, and I really mean enormous, number of characters and names you will encounter in this book. This will easily number in the hundreds, if not over 1,000. In fact, if you flip to the back of the book, there is an index just consisting of names. Guess how long it is? 28 pages. For books containing considerable footnotes, I typically just skip the footnotes because I can't be bothered to read them. Maybe they're interesting, sometimes they're dull, sometimes they're just a little pedantic to me. For Herodotus, after I finished this book, and it's a long, grueling read, just lengthwise, I was so impressed with the book that I actually went back and reread the footnotes entirely. In terms of the plot, Herodotus is sympathetic to both the Greeks and the Persians and sees the vices and the goodness apparent in both. He seems relatively unbiased. Herodotus doesn't always believe in what he writes, but he feels like it is his duty to report what he is told. Once in a while, he'll put in his own opinion and show how discerning and powerful his mind is. I feel that Herodotus believes that although sometimes the stories may be exaggerated or even fictional, depending on who tells it, that in and of itself is history and worth writing down. Would I recommend this book? The Histories, surprisingly, very surprisingly, was one of my all-time favorite books. It was tough, it was long, but amazing, and it felt timeless. There is a reason, and a resolute reason, why this book has survived nearly 2,500 years. The poetical blend between fact, observation, and story to tell the tale of two peoples is timeless, and the observations to be made personally to my day and age and in my own life are precious. And that is my review of The Histories by Herodotus. If you liked my review, or if you disagreed with my review, please leave a comment below. Thanks.